Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to take a look at stress. Stress is something we face every day. It's in our professional life, it's in our personal life, it's in with our children, it's in with our loved ones. Stress can come from past traumas, can come from negative experiences. Stress leads to chronic illness. COVID made the situation worse. Now, how can we positively deal with stress? We're going to talk about that today. My name is Frank Zaccari, and this is Life Altering Events. My guest today is Diane Vich. Now, Diane waged an 11-year battle with stress and related illnesses to truly find the courage to savor the self-love and share the truth with her world. And that's 11 years. That's a long time to battle. Let me tell you something about Diane. She's a registered nurse. She's an author of the best-selling book, Crappy to Happy. She has found her healing, passion, purpose through life-altering experiences. She helps women find their orgasmic potential and to heal their body through a mind, body, and soul connection. As if that's not enough, she also strives to help children in the community through these very, very difficult times that they're going through with inspirational videos and mood boxes. She believes that giving back is an essential component on any healing journey. So Diane, welcome to Life Altering Events.
Thank you, Frank. It's always nice to be on an interview with you or just chatting and connecting. I'm excited to be here today.
Well, we're excited to have you. Your story is really, really, truly amazing. Diane, as much as you're willing to go into, would you share with the viewers the personal health crisis that you were going through in this 11 years?
Yes, so I've suffered from chronic pain since I was a teenager. So I would say actually it started younger, but really, really became evident when I was 15, where the right side of my body was going numb. I was having chronic neck pain. I was having carpal tunnel syndrome, tons of digestive issues, migraines all the time. And it continued to get worse. And it didn't come to light until I started relationships with my partner. So I've been with my husband since I was 15. And when we started intimacy was when I started to get flashbacks as to what had happened to me when I was a little girl. And I still hadn't really understood the impact of that until I got to this point in my journey and realized that the stem of all my chronic illness and all my issues came from that abuse as a little child, that I didn't know how to process it, that I hadn't spoken up and told my family about it, that I had basically taken on this role where I just accepted everything that happened around me. And I was known as the happy-go-lucky girl that went with everything, but inside I was torn apart and I was holding on to everything. And I wasn't telling anybody when I didn't want to do something, if I didn't want to go somewhere, if I didn't feel comfortable, even with intimate relationships with my partner. You know, things were very uncomfortable for me and I wasn't speaking up about it. And that just kept building upon it. So by the time I had my oldest son, who's now 14, my chronic illness was way overwhelming. I was already a registered nurse. My body was falling apart. And I ended up having a health crisis a little bit after his birth because my body was just simply overwhelmed. And I realized this is not the kind of mom I want to be. And for him, I made the decision that I needed to change and I need to figure out where can I fix my body? How can I change things little by little so that I can start feeling better about myself and not be in so much pain, not be on so many prescriptions. I know back then I was taking more than 13 prescriptions and I had already had around 6 surgeries. Later on, the total right now is 9.
Wow. That's amazing. So you started down this path and you discovered alternate healing modalities. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sorry, when I started off, I started changing my diet. I started with exercise. I found that I was feeling a little bit better. I was able to reduce some of the prescriptions, and the process really wasn't clicking yet. I still had a lot of flare-ups. I was still impacted by relationships. I was still not speaking up for myself. So over the past few years, which is when I became an author, when I started writing my own books and the one that we appeared in together, was then I had tapped into that mindfulness component, when I had started to do hypnosis and uncover, what was the root cause of my symptoms, and how could I heal that little girl inside of me that was really hurting when all of these experiences would continue to happen, because throughout our life, we're going through a roller coaster. There's always challenges, and we have to learn how to work through them and grow from them. So if I wasn't growing through the experiences, I was just feeling all those pain and symptoms. So I had to learn how to create a mindfulness practice for myself. And over the journey, and actually over this past year, as we came out in the book, Crappy to Happy, was really when I was able to realize that it was time to share what I had learned, because I was really scared. That little girl inside me was very, very scared to share it. And it really did change things for me, where I'm not on prescriptions constantly. I have one medication that I have just in case I get a migraine, but other than that, I don't take anything else. And it has been quite a roller coaster journey, because what I realized is I have always been affected by judgment and criticism since I was a little girl. I had learning disabilities, so I was teased in school, I was bullied in school. So whenever someone, even if it's about a class, or I'm having a conversation with a customer for the hospital or something, and they criticize me, I take it very, very personally. So it was something that I had to work on, especially over this past year, is not letting those judgments get to me and stop me from what I was trying to accomplish. So if I was trying to teach a class and I would allow other people to get in the way, then I really wasn't getting my message across, and I would get stuck in this stress response and this overwhelm, and all the symptoms would come back. Mm-hmm. So it was like perfecting my process so that I could stop that roller coaster ride to get to where I am right now.
Wow. So there was meditation was involved. What other things did you use?
So I do a lot of meditation. So there's so many different kinds of meditation. I usually do guided meditations, but I do also sit, quietly and just do like a centering exercise where I count down and I do gratitude. So in the mornings when I'm a little tired and I feel like it's not quite time to get up yet, the alarm hasn't rang, I have some time to focus on gratitude, and I'll focus on the center, like a centering exercise. So I do a countdown in my mind, which is a lot of what I teach in orgasmic meditation. It's a countdown, a learning how to relax ourselves during a stressful situation, but also using those same techniques when you're feeling joy, when you're feeling excitement, so you can really tap into those good sensations we want to feel. And then once I'm feeling peaceful and calm, then I go into the gratitude. I'm grateful for my oldest son and all his accomplishments and the joy that he brings me. And I'm grateful for my little guy who loves to do artistic projects with mom, and who I've helped teach him mindfulness practices, and now he's able to deal with his anxiety. I'm grateful for my husband, who's supportive through all of this crazy journey that he's been on since I was 15. So it's like every little thing I'm grateful for. And sometimes it's even minor things like, oh, my husband made me breakfast and it was so delicious this week, and then I go into like a visualization of my day, how I want my day to be. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be wonderful if I wake up and I'm feeling fantastic and I have a amazing breakfast that happens to be made for me, and I go outside and I see birds when I do my meditation, and kind of just going through the day's routine. I do a lot of dance also. So one of the things I incorporate into my programs is dance release. We can actually use music to help us relieve stress. And I know that we all have songs that really are close to our heart, that really make us smile, that bring joy to our face. And if we tap into that song and even take it to the next level by dancing in front of a mirror and looking at ourselves, we can really find the joy and see it, and it like reflects back at us and we see it at a deeper level. I do a lot of yoga as well, and stretching. So I call it orgasmic stretch. I have learned how to tap into different yoga positions and combine it with deep breathing and really help relieve the tension and the toxins and the stress that's in our body. And I think there needs to be a balance, and everyone has to understand their body and create that awareness for themselves to get to that level. And it's something that we build upon as we grow and we continue to take, mindfulness classes and grow in our personal development. Then things continue to evolve.
That's incredible. All the steps and it's a continuing, ongoing process. It's not a one-time thing. It's like a lifestyle change. Is that correct?
It is. It's a lifestyle change. And one of the things that I realized last year, because, this is life-altering events, So last year, obviously, everyone was stressed out because of COVID-19. It was like your whole reality was shifted, and now you had to deal with this whole new thing, and you have extra stress, and you don't have your normal stress relieving techniques. And I didn't have that connection with like the people at the hospital that I used to talk to every day, the friends that I used to, stop and smile and have a conversation. Like those were things that help create this joy inside of you that you just don't have anymore. And then fast forward to the summer where I had kind of disconnected from the world and not even reached out to family members, and one of my cousins passes away. And it brought on all of those childhood emotions again, the guilt, the shame, the self-doubt, and that little blockage, that self-sabotage to stop doing things again. And then that connected me to my little girl again, that she needed some mindfulness activities that helped nurture her. And that's when I started doing art projects. And that's why I started doing gift boxes for kids. So this is one of my art projects, which I actually created a video this week for kids. So I created a kids mindset channel with Nurse Diane. And one of the projects is a rocket ship, which there's going to be a rocket ship in each one of these boxes for the kids. But even if they don't have a rocket ship, I feel that all kids should know this strategy, right? So it's visualizing that at the end of the day, when you're ready to go to sleep, but a lot of things upset you during the day, that you put all of those thoughts and those emotions inside the rocket ship, all those things that made you uncomfortable, someone that teased you at school, or a conversation with your parent that punished you for something that you felt like you didn't deserve. Or if you're adult, it works the same way, right? And imagine just shipping it away to the moon, and the rocket ship's going to come back clean and help you have a restful night's sleep and be ready for you tomorrow. So I created a meditation for it. I created the little activity and the painting video. And I'm just excited to share these kinds of strategies with kids, because I realized my little girl needed these things just like my son needed these things. This is my son's art project. He has a little dinosaur and mine is a mermaid.
Wow.
So all of these creative things were also things that I was able to tap into over this past year.
I love that idea. Just take everything, put it somewhere, and then let it go away. Let it move on. I played baseball for a lot of years. We played terrible at one point in time. And I remember this manager coming over, a coach, and he said, "Everybody put your hand on the bat and put all your bad thoughts into the bat." And then he set the bat on fire. He said, "Okay, it's all gone now. Get it out of your head, move forward." So I love what you're doing. And you're a nurse. So nurses tend to be women of science. And as you bring these modalities into the workplace, did that help you? Did you see it help other people also?
Absolutely. So when I was still working at the hospital, I had some friends that we were very close together, and they began to realize the power of mindfulness. And we would actually take meditation breaks together, and we would go out by the lake. It wasn't always at the same time, because when you're working at the hospital, you kind of go with the flow of what's happening. But we would mindfully recognize that we needed a little break. And if we got 10 minutes, then maybe we sat in the garden. If we had 20 minutes, then we laid down by the lake, and we would listen to the same meditation, and we would tap into the, deep breathing and the relaxation. And by the end, you could see it in our faces, how we felt different. And we were at a better space to answer phone calls, to give patients results, to support our friends in the ER. Because, we're on the sidelines. We're the ones that call people, but our friends needed a joyful face. So if I came into the ER feeling grumpy, then they could feel it. So shifting it helped me elevate the people around me. And I did see that shift for them.
Now you've made, as a nurse, you just mentioned this, that you made these calls, and you made a lot of really heart-wrenching calls to people. How did you prepare yourself to make that call that is going to devastate somebody?
Yes, it definitely took a lot of preparation before. I would do my dance release. So how I told you that there's a specific song, like I have a playlist that I go to, and there's a specific song. And the one that is right now, it's called Bulletproof. I'm sure you've heard the song. But throughout the journey, the songs have changed. And when it's time to do that, then I literally get up, I stand in front of the mirror, I look at myself. I actually look into my left eye, because when you look left eye to left eye, you really see your soul. You really are talking to your little girl or your little boy. And that's when I just like talk to myself, you're ready, you can do this. And then I do my dance and let go of whatever it is that isn't serving me. And then I'm ready for that phone call. And obviously, if something comes up during that call, That's when I use the strategies that I teach in orgasmic meditation, where you can center yourself and just do a countdown in your head as the family is telling you what they're stressed about, that they're worried about their kids, that they're worried about maybe their parents that are in the house, and expressing all their anxieties. I don't want to take those things on. I want to support them, but not take them on, because that was my pattern. I would take it on and my body would fall apart. So doing these centering exercises quickly, that you're just counting in your head and you're listening and you're really honoring them, and then give them some valuable feedback as from this calm place is really a powerful tool.
And that's critical, because we've all had that horrible call at some point in our life, and having a calming presence on the other line does help, because the panic sets in immediately when there's been an accident or whatever the call is, or you have COVID or your child has something. So I'm in total admiration for what you do and how you do what you do. Now, Diane, you wrote that dealing with physical pain was far easier than the emotional trauma. All right, and all these self-limiting beliefs. How do you overcome these self-limiting beliefs?
It is a daily practice. So I have this negative Nancy in my mind. She is very critical. And what tends to happen is when those judgments get in the way, when the criticism gets in the way, it kind of takes you back in time to that time where I was abused, where I felt trapped, where I felt hopeless, when I felt helpless. And you relive all of these emotions. So I use a lot of hypnosis. I do also reframe things in my mind. So if a negative thought comes into my mind, then I try to shift it. So if, let's say for this interview, I was a little nervous. If the thought is, I'm nervous, then I'm saying, no, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm going to do really great. Because if you keep playing, I'm nervous, I'm nervous, I'm nervous, by the end of the day, which actually I was a little nervous yesterday, by the end of the day, I kind of felt fatigued and stressed, because you're taking on all these emotions and it's going to affect your body in some kind of symptom. So it's really about a self-loving practice, about intimate connections with yourself, letting go of the stress with all those mindfulness activities, but I combine it with mindset. So like this particular week, preparing for this interview, one of the things that I do is boxing. But it's not just me watching the boxing episode and doing the routine. No, it's me actually punching out the anger, punching out the frustration, the guilt, the shame. And each time I punch, there's an emotion that comes up and I'm letting it out. And really, when we combine our body with our mind, it is such a powerful tool. It's how we really let it go. Because what happens is our subconscious lets all of these emotions sink in. And then we get tension and we get trapped emotions. And then we get, my hip goes out of place, which constantly happens to me. And that's how I recognize that I have let something go. I don't know if you realize that last November, I had a confrontation around Thanksgiving. And in the middle of a yoga practice that I do all the time, a negative thought came in. And as I went to pull back, my back went out. And it's those thoughts triggered the reaction in my body. And then I had to, deal with that pain and that extra stress for several days as my body started to repair. So it's really a combination of the physical and the emotional at the same time that helps me shift that to get those emotions out, because all of our experiences are going to trigger some kind of emotion. And it's recognizing where's it coming from and working on that little girl or little boy is what really lets us propel forward.
You lean into the emotion, you feel it, you don't deny it, you lean into it, and then you can address it. Is that right?
Exactly. And it depends on what I'm teaching in orgasmic meditation is that we have a different flow throughout the month. So men and women are equally affected by the moon cycles and the earth around us and our environment and the people that are around us. And at different times of the month, there's certain activities that will work better than others. Like one of the ones I was doing last week, because it was really a time of forgiveness for me and letting go, was actually writing a letter to myself from the past, the one that made the mistakes, the things that I wasn't unhappy about, and then burning it at night and letting it go.
You wrote something, you attended an intense mourning and forgiveness ritual at a spiritual retreat that helped you. What was that and how did that help you?
So it was called Gratitude. And recently, I think they closed down since COVID-19 and stuff. But it was a gratitude retreat. And it was complete strangers. I didn't know anybody in the room. But each of the activities that they would put you through, a lot of the times you would end up looking left eye to left eye at a complete stranger. And this is a strategy that I had learned before with one of my coaches. And even when I did it with her, I was uncomfortable because you're really seeing the deepness within them, but you also see everything that you see is a reflection of you. So if you see that they're good, they're kind, they're caring, you are that as well. And it can be a scary experience. So that's what I was doing with these complete strangers. And every experience was awakening. Like I could see the goodness in them. I could see the sadness in them. I could see that they were a hurt little boy or little girl. And that kind of triggered my little girl to realize, you know, all the things that I had been heard about. And in one of the particular parts, they played this song, which I had never heard before. It was kind of like a sad song, I remember. And I just remembered like tears flowing from my eyes, tears flowing from the girl's eyes in front of me. And like we both were having this deep connection. And I was just like, I forgave both those people and let it go. And, you know, it's time to move on and continue to work on my mindfulness and just forgive that experience happened and know that it was part of my journey, that if I wouldn't have happened to me, I wouldn't be where I was today.
You mentioned multiple times here the connection of the whole body healing. And you not only transformed your health, but you reconnected with, as you called it in your book, your long lost libido and creativity. Tell us how you're helping women, particularly women in this area.
So there's a big disconnect between women and their sexuality. It's such a taboo topic. I know it's taboo in my whole circle.
Yes.
So me going out and talking about it is kind of scary too, which is why I had been resisting it for so long. But it's something that I learned early on. I had started my healing journey. I had this amazing orgasm with my husband. And I was like, wow, I could do this? Like, how is this possible? And it took me several years to actually tap into that again as I started to heal my body and remove the inflammation. Because as we get all this stress and inflammation and chronic pain, that blocks the message going to our vagina and to our pelvis. It just blocks it. So we're not getting a clear connection between the pelvis and the brain. And then we're not feeling these sensations. So as we start to heal the body using this full body experience where you're actually doing exercise, where you're eating healthy, where you're stretching your muscles, when you're realizing that, you know, you're extra sore today, maybe you need to soak in the tub, and then, you know, have this conscious connection with your partner where you gaze into their left eye and you see who they are and you really show them love and connection, and you do self-loving practices for yourself. So when you realize that you need some nurturing down there, you do some nurturing activities, and it just helps you connect with your creativity. It's like a light switch turns on and all of a sudden you're creative. So for a while there, I wasn't able to write anything. I used to write poetry as a child. And for some reason, it just disappeared because my stress level had gotten so high. Once I started to have orgasms again and feel that connection with myself, it increased my self-love, and it also increased my creativity, where at the point where I was writing this book, The Truth About IBS and Anxiety, I actually wrote like 4 children's books, never published them, only published one. But I had just in this creative zone where I could write multiple different kinds of things and quickly, because I was tapped into the creativity. And I realized it was because I had turned on that orgasm potential. Because when I didn't have it on, the creativity was not flowing. I was more anxious. I was more stressed, and there were more symptoms in my body. So every time, as you heal and release and let go of the things that aren't serving you, you connect to that again, and then whoop, the light switch is back on.
Mm-hmm. I've heard it and read many times that the orgasmic concept starts in your head, and if your brain isn't there, in your mind and the stress, then nothing else is going to work. Is that what you found?
Absolutely. And our mind, especially women, our mind gets in the way. It happens to men too. Our mind gets in the way, the to-do list, the all of these things that we have to do. But this is about really relaxing your body before you get into that intimate activity so that you're at the right stage. So you're not thinking, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I have this pain that just turns you off. I mean, it would turn anybody off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's self-intimacy so that you can get to the point where maybe you're having more sex with your partner on a regular basis and you're feeling great about it and you're at this creative space. And some people have got to this place where they're just like, I'm never going to get my orgasms back because my chronic pain is so bad. And I get it. I was there. But if I was able to turn that switch off and turn on the orgasmic switch, anybody can.
It's incredible. And it's from what I've read, it's helped so many people to reconnect again, and that's a very important part of a relationship. You have to have that connection.
Oh, absolutely. The connection with your partner is essential. And a lot of things what people don't realize is the connection with your partner comes when you are connected with yourself. So if you're connected with yourself in this healing orgasmic way, then you can connect with your partner and be that partner that they deserve and
Hmm.
treat them the way they deserve. Because now you're not feeding off that negativity or those back and forth emotions. Now
Hmm.
you're feeding from a different place, and everybody around you feels different.
Outstanding. Now, you wrote a book for your son during one of the COVID quarantines. Tell us about that book.
Yes. So when I was writing The Truth About IBS and Anxiety, he was having a lot of anxiety. And I actually started writing it before COVID-19 and decided that I was going to tweak it for COVID-19. So he was having, anxiety because other kids around him were stressing him out. So it's a little story about a bumblebee. Um, and he's feeling stressed out about COVID, and he's in school. And as people, start telling him about the virus, and the teachers are scared and everyone's scared, by the time he gets home, he's got a headache, he's got a tummy ache, he doesn't feel well. And then his mom guides him into, okay, let's do a relaxation exercise. And I recorded a meditation for it separately from the book. So they have a link if they buy the book to the meditation, which is on my kids' channel. And that's where I guide them into the relaxation. And it's basically a visualization of the bumblebee creating this bubble of protection around himself. So he could do this for himself every day before he goes to school, just to protect himself from the emotions of other people, because we get impacted by everyone around us. So if we can visualize, even if it's not that long meditation, if we can visualize that we are protected in a special bubble, whatever color comes to you, it helps set up your mindset that only positive things are going to come into you, that you're not going to be affected and become fatigued, because stress is all around you.
Hmm. And you wrote a wonderful article that I read. It was Hypnosis for Grief Using Mindful Healing. So go into a little bit of that. What is mindful healing? What are you telling people to do?
Okay, so the hypnosis that I created, actually, I created it before my cousin passed away, a few weeks
Mm,
before. So I had no idea. I created it for a few friends that had experienced grief over COVID-19. And it is a beautiful visualization exercise. Number one, it's a deep relaxation in the beginning. We're letting go of those emotions that don't serve us, those negative emotions that come up. I kind of guide them into that. And then we get into this activity where they're visualizing a chest that's coming up in front of them, and they're getting little messages as to colors that are around them, that we can begin to feel these colors in our body. And then as they open the chest, there's a message for them, but they know the message, I don't know the message. So I
mhm,
basically guide them into opening the chest and see what they see. And there's a letter from someone that they love, and there are some items in the box, and then they're instructed as to what to do with this letter. They read the letter, they experience whatever emotions come up for them, and then they go through this process of writing their own letter and letting it go.
mhm,
And and it's a process of self-forgiveness, so forgiving ourselves for allowing us to take on all of these negative emotions, hold them in our body, create symptoms. We want to let them go. So I basically guide them into writing their own letter, and then they ship it off in a train, and they
mhm.
ship it away, and the train goes away, and then now they're just completely relaxed, and they can either go to sleep or they can go into their day at the end of it.
Self-forgiveness is such a huge thing because most people tend to be their own worst critic and they won't let go. And we tend to focus on what we can't do or what we didn't do or what we should have done. That's a wonderful story. I love that. Diane, we're just about out of time here. So, with all you've been through and all that you've accomplished, what last words do you want to leave with the viewers around the world today?
I'd say it's up to you to make the decision to change. And if you want to shift things, start with some mindfulness activity that you can add into your day, whether it's meditation, whether it's noticing that inner critic and shifting those thoughts into something positive every time they pop up. But little by little, as you build upon these practices, you will see a change inside your inner world. and it'll begin to affect your body positively.
It's taking that first step, which is the critical component. You have to reach out. Diane is an outstanding person to reach out to. She has a practice. She can help you. Now, as I said, we are just about out of time. I want to thank you again, Diane, for this wonderful experience and sharing your story and sharing all the things that you're doing to help people. So again, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, no matter what life throws at you, and as you heard today, it's going to throw a lot at you. Please do 3 things. Look up, get up, and never, ever give up. Pick up the pieces if you have to and start moving forward. And better times and better people like Diane will come into your life. If you'd like more information on Diane, you can go to her website. You can contact me, and I'll make sure it gets to her. And I will also post it, send her a link, so she'll post it to all the places that you look for the information from Diane. You can see this show on ROKU TV or on my YouTube channel, Frank Zaccari. If you go to YouTube, please subscribe. Now, let me leave you with this, as I do every week, ladies and gentlemen. None of us are in this alone, and the secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are. And today, Diane showed us where many of those rocks are. Join us next week for another life-altering event. Thank you again, Diane.